First Contact Protocols. Ambassador Selkrax of the Volari Confederation had visited 68 planets, negotiated 12 peace treaties, and survived 3 assassination attempts. A seasoned diplomat with scales that bore the ceremonial markings of countless successful missions, he prided himself on understanding the psychology of every sentient species in the known galaxy. Until Earth. The transport vessel settled onto the landing pad with a gentle hiss. Through the viewport, Selkrax observed the welcoming committee. 5 humans in simple clothing, no visible weapons, no ceremonial armor. Just smiles and eager postures. His assistant, Mervik, a nervous young Volari with freshly polished scales, checked the atmospheric readings for the 4th time. "Sir, I've reviewed the briefing again," Mervik said. "Humans are classified as omnivores with limited natural defenses. They have no claws, minimal muscle density compared to predator species, and their teeth are barely functional for anything beyond processing plant matter and pre-killed food." Selkrax nodded, his inner eyelids blinking thoughtfully. Yet they dominate their planet. They've survived ice ages, plagues, and their own nuclear weapons. There's more to them than our xenobiologists understand. The airlock cycled open. Earth's atmosphere carried unfamiliar scents. Complex, organic, slightly metallic. The diplomatic party stepped forward, Selkrax leading with practiced confidence. A human female stepped forward, small by galactic standards, with dark skin and close-cropped hair streaked with silver. Her smile displayed flat, unremarkable teeth. "Ambassador Selkrax, welcome to Earth. I'm Director Amara Chen of the Diplomatic Corps." She extended a hand. 5 slender digits, no visible weaponry, skin soft and uncalloused. Selkrax completed the custom he'd studied, grasping her hand firmly. That's when he felt it. A grip that could easily crush bone, executed with perfect restraint. The woman's eyes tracked everything. His 6-member security detail, the positioning of their ceremonial weapons, the slight tension in Mervik's posture. Nothing escaped her notice. His instincts fired. Predator. "We're honored to host the Volari," Director Chen continued, releasing his hand. "We've prepared a cultural exchange program that should give you a comprehensive understanding of Earth." The party was escorted to ground vehicles, primitive wheeled transports with minimal shielding. Selkrax noted the complete absence of armed guards or security drones. Either humans were foolishly trusting or supremely confident. "Your security protocols seem minimal," he observed. Director Chen smiled. "We find excessive displays of force often create the very tensions they're meant to prevent. Besides, this is a university district. Weapons aren't permitted here." The convoy moved through streets filled with humans going about their daily activities. Selkrax studied them carefully. Students carrying data devices, elderly humans walking alone, young ones playing without supervision. None displayed defensive postures. None seemed alert for threats. "Your civilians appear remarkably unconcerned with personal safety," he noted. "Do they?" Chen replied, her eyes never stopping their constant scanning of the surroundings. "Perhaps they simply don't advertise their awareness." Their first scheduled event was a community festival, a bewildering cacophony of sounds, smells, and movement. Hundreds of humans in minimal protective clothing milled about, consuming food in the open, engaging in physical competitions, and producing art with primitive tools. Selkrax's security detail clustered close, their discomfort evident in their flared neck membranes. The noise, the unpredictability, the sheer number of moving bodies. It was chaos by Volari standards. "Is this gathering secure?" Mervik whispered, his hand hovering near his sonic disruptor. Before Selkrax could answer, a piercing human scream cut through the festival noise. The diplomatic party froze as the crowd parted to reveal 2 humans grappling on the ground, one clutching the small bag, the other clawing at their face. "Security breach," Mervik barked, activating his personal shield. The Volari guards formed a protective circle around Selkrax, weapons half drawn. But Director Chen hadn't moved. She watched the altercation with mild interest, sipping from a cup of steaming liquid. "Aren't you concerned?" Cellcrax asked, bewildered by her calm. "Not particularly," she replied. "Watch." The surrounding humans had not fled. Instead, they formed a loose circle around the altercation. An elderly human with gray hair stepped forward, gripping what appeared to be a walking aid. With astonishing speed, the elder swept the thief's legs, sending them crashing to the ground. A young female in bright clothing secured the thief's arms with practiced efficiency. A child retrieved the stolen bag, returning it to its owner. The entire incident lasted less than 15 seconds. "You see," Chen said, "we don't need designated security forces for minor incidents. Every human is quite capable of addressing threats." "Those were untrained civilians," Cellcrax said, struggling to process what he'd witnessed. The elderly one moved like a combat specialist. Chen shrugged. "She probably was 50 years ago. Most humans learn basic self-defense as children. Some pursue it further, others let the skills languish, but the fundamentals remain." Later that evening, in the diplomatic compound, Cellcrax reviewed his notes while his security team conducted their standard sweep. The chief security officer, Krastel, an experienced warrior with battle scars across his dorsal plates, looked troubled. "Ambassador, something is wrong with our threat assessments," he said. "These humans, they don't move like prey species. They don't flinch at sudden noises. They maintain sight lines to exits. They position themselves to protect vulnerable members without obvious coordination." "Perhaps they're all military personnel," Mervik suggested. Krastel shook his head. "No, I've observed their military. Different posture, different attitude. These are genuine civilians, but they all move like predators assessing territory." Cellcrax contemplated this. "Schedule a meeting with their historians. I need to understand how a species with no natural weapons evolved predatory behavior patterns." The following day, Cellcrax met with Professor Lin Wei, a diminutive human female who specialized in evolutionary anthropology. She listened to his questions with amusement dancing in her eyes. "Ambassador, you've made a common extraterrestrial misconception," she explained. "You've confused physical adaptations with behavioral ones. Humans aren't defenseless. We're persistence predators." Persistence predators. The term wasn't in his briefing materials. "We hunted by exhaustion," she explained. "Before we developed projectile weapons, humans would simply chase prey until it collapsed from heat exhaustion. Our bipedal locomotion, sweat glands, and respiratory efficiency made us terrible sprinters, but exceptional marathoners." She activated a display showing primitive humans pursuing large animals across vast plains. "Our ancestors didn't need claws or fangs. They needed endurance, planning, and cooperation. We evolved to outthink and outlast our prey, not overpower it instantly." Cellcrax considered this. "But that explains your hunting behaviors, not why your civilians display predatory awareness." Professor Lin smiled. "Because humans were never apex predators individually. We were vulnerable alone, deadly in groups. Every human learned to be constantly vigilant, to recognize threats, to communicate danger silently, to improvise weapons. Those who didn't develop these traits didn't survive to reproduce. So every human is essentially a trained hunter?" Mervik asked, looking disturbed. "More accurately, every human is a descendant of those who successfully identified threats and responded appropriately," Lin corrected. "We've softened over millennia of civilization, but the instincts remain." That evening, the diplomatic party attended a formal reception at Earth's Global Governance Center. Elegantly dressed humans mingled with representatives from 12 galactic species. The atmosphere was relaxed, the security presence minimal. Cellcrax was deep in conversation with a Proxian trade minister when the lights failed. The room plunged into darkness, and the environmental systems ceased functioning. Several delegates gasped or called out in alarm. But the humans didn't panic. Within seconds, portable lights activated throughout the room. Human staff moved with purpose, checking on delegates with respiratory requirements, securing exits, establishing communication chains. Please remain calm. Director Chen's voice cut through the confusion. We're experiencing a localized power disruption. Emergency systems will activate momentarily. What happened next fascinated Cellcrax. Without any apparent command structure, humans throughout the room organized themselves. Some directed non-human delegates toward emergency oxygen supplies. Others formed a perimeter, positioning themselves at vulnerable points. Two humans in formal attire forced open a sealed door using improvised leverage tools fashioned from decorative metal fixtures. When the security breach was identified, a sophisticated sabotage attempt by anti-extraterrestrial extremists, it wasn't the human security forces who apprehended the perpetrators. It was a group of civilian staff and diplomatic corps members who tracked, cornered, and subdued the saboteurs using serving trays, decorative cords, and bare hands. Back in his quarters, Cellcrax recorded his observations. Humans represent an evolutionary path unparalleled in the galaxy, a species where every civilian possesses the awareness, adaptability, and coordination of trained predators. They do not distinguish between protectors and protected. They simply switch roles as circumstances demand. Most concerning is their ability to cooperate instantly without established command hierarchies, a swarm intelligence that emerges spontaneously in crisis. He paused, considering his final assessment. The Galactic Security Council has misclassified humanity. They are not, as currently categorized, minimally threatening omnivores with technological capabilities. They are, without exception, the only known species where every civilian is born a predator. And they've been hiding in plain sight. The true apex species, the Galactic Summit for Species Classification, convened in Earth's orbital diplomatic station, a neutral territory where atmospheric conditions could be customized for each delegation. 47 species were represented, from the crystalline Phyrexians to the gas-based Noor collective. At the center of debate, humanity's official classification. Cellcrax observed the proceedings from the Volari section, his report on human behavioral patterns having sparked this unprecedented gathering. Beside him, Mervik nervously adjusted the environmental controls on his seat. "They're all here," Mervik whispered. "Every apex predator species in the known galaxy." Indeed, the chamber contained the most formidable evolutionary results the cosmos had produced. The Krell Dominion representatives displayed their venomous spines openly, a traditional sign of diplomatic honesty among their kind. The Thraxian delegation's armored exoskeletons gleamed under the chamber lights, their mandibles clicking in coded communication. The massive Urukai ambassador, whose species had evolved in a high-gravity world with triple Earth's oxygen content, dwarfed even the specialized chair constructed for their delegation. Humans, represented by a 5-person team led by Director Chen, seemed absurdly vulnerable by comparison. No natural armor, no visible weapons, no impressive physical characteristics. They sat calmly, reviewing data on transparent tablets, occasionally exchanging quiet words. Supreme Arbiter Zolak of the Interspecies Council, an ancient draconid with scaled skin that had faded from its youthful crimson to a distinguished gray, called the assembly to order. "We convene to address the petition to reclassify humanity from Category 3. Advanced tool users with limited natural defenses to Category 1. Apex predator species with galactic security implications," the Arbiter announced, compound eyes scanning the chamber. Ambassador Cellcrax has submitted comprehensive behavioral analyses supporting this petition. War Leader Grax of the Thraxian Hive rose, his exoskeleton creaking as he extended to his full 3-meter height. "This is absurd. Humans have no biological weapons, no claws, no venom, inadequate teeth, fragile skin. They are prey species who develop technology to compensate for their evolutionary failures." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The human delegation remained silent, expressions neutral. "I have personally observed humans in crisis situations," Cellcrax countered. Their behavioral responses are consistent with apex predator species. They do not flee from threats. They assess, coordinate, and neutralize them. Without training. Anecdotal evidence. Dismissed Ambassador Krell of the Urukai. If humans were truly dangerous, they would dominate their planet. Yet they share Earth with millions of other species, many of which prey upon them. Director Chen finally spoke, her voice carrying clearly despite its relative softness. With respect, Ambassador, no terrestrial species has preyed upon humans as a primary food source for approximately 50,000 years. Those that tried were systematically eliminated. The chamber fell silent. The casual delivery of such a statement, the deliberate extinction of potential predators, was chilling. Furthermore, Chen continued, we submitted comprehensive data on human physical capabilities that I believe the Council has overlooked. The Supreme Arbiter accessed the relevant files. Human endurance exceeds galactic averages by 34%. Human pain tolerance exceeds averages by 28%. Human adaptability to environmental extremes exceeds averages by 41%. The Arbiter looked up. These are significant divergences. Numbers can be manipulated. War Leader Grax dismissed. I propose a practical demonstration. Let us observe humans responding to genuine threat scenarios. Director Chen smiled. As it happens, we've prepared several demonstrations for the Council's consideration. With your permission. The chamber's central holographic array activated, displaying scenes from Earth, civilian responses to natural disasters, accident scenarios, and criminal incidents. In each case, untrained humans coordinated instinctively, prioritized efficiently, and addressed threats with whatever tools were available, often creating weapons or tools from ordinary objects. Still unconvinced, the predator species watched with skepticism. The Krell representative flexed his venomous spines dismissively. Selective evidence. Show us humans facing genuine apex predators without technological advantages. Chen nodded to her assistant, who adjusted the display. New footage appeared. Humans encountering Earth's largest predators. A woman facing down a charging elephant with nothing but posture and voice. A man swimming alongside massive sharks, controlling their behavior with eye contact and body language. A child escaping the wolf pack by climbing and strategically dropping small objects to confuse pursuit. Impressive survival strategies, acknowledged the Phyrexian delegate, their crystalline form refracting light as they shifted position. But survival is not dominance. The debate continued for hours, with the predator species reluctant to acknowledge humans as equals. Cellcrax noticed the human delegation growing increasingly quiet, exchanging knowing glances as the argument circled. The station's emergency klaxons shattered the debate. Alert. Station integrity compromised. Atmospheric containment failure detected in sectors 7 through 11. Emergency bulkheads engaging. This is not a drill. The chamber erupted in controlled chaos. Species with incompatible atmospheric requirements began moving toward their designated safe zones. Security personnel activated emergency protocols. Then the lights failed. The artificial gravity fluctuated. Emergency systems reported complete malfunction. Supreme Arbiter Zolak activated his emergency communicator. Station control. Report status. The response came through static. Multiple systems sabotage. Extremist group claiming responsibility. Attempting to isolate affected systems. The chamber's atmospheric composition began changing rapidly. Several delegates gasped for breath as their specialized environmental fields failed. The emergency exits sealed automatically, trapping everyone inside. Cellcrax watched in astonishment as the human delegation moved with sudden, coordinated purpose. Without exchanging a word, they split into 3 teams. Director Chen and another human headed straight for the environmental controls. 2 others moved toward the sealed doors. The 5th began gathering delegates with the most critical atmospheric needs. Everyone with respiratory vulnerabilities moved to the center of the chamber. Chen ordered, her voice cutting through the growing panic. We're establishing a stable atmospheric pocket, using nothing but the components from their communication devices and a decorative metal fixture removed from the wall. The humans created a makeshift atmospheric stabilizer. It wasn't elegant, but it created a bubble of breathable air for the most vulnerable delegates. Meanwhile, the two humans at the sealed door had pried open an access panel and were rewiring the emergency release. Their hands moved with the confidence of specialists, though Cellcracks knew they were diplomats, not engineers. "How are they doing this?" Mervik whispered, eyes wide. Did they know this would happen? No, Cellcracks realized. They're improvising. All of them. Within minutes, the humans had established emergency atmospheric control, opened an escape route, and organized the delegates into evacuation groups prioritized by medical need. No other species had even begun to formulate a response plan. As they moved through darkened corridors toward the emergency shuttles, Cellcracks found himself beside Director Chen, who was supporting an elderly Noor delegate whose containment field was faltering. "This is what I was trying to explain," she said calmly, as if they weren't in the middle of a life-threatening crisis. "Humans evolved not just to survive threats, but to solve novel problems under pressure. It's not our bodies that make us dangerous. It's our minds in crisis." They reached the shuttle bay to find it sealed by the saboteurs. Without hesitation, one of the human diplomats, a younger male with specialized knowledge of station architecture, located a maintenance shaft. "This connects to the auxiliary control room," he explained, already removing the access panel. "I can override from there." "The shaft is barely half a meter wide," protested the Thraxian war leader. "No one can navigate that." The human was already halfway into the cramped space. "Watch me," he replied with a grim smile. 15 excruciating minutes later, the shuttle bay doors slid open. The human emerged from a different access point, clothes torn, skin bleeding from multiple scrapes, but eyes alert and focused. As the mixed species group boarded the emergency shuttles, War Leader Grax approached Cellcracks. The massive insectoid's mandibles clicked softly, a sign of cognitive reassessment in Thraxian body language. "I understand your report now," the war leader said quietly. "They are not dangerous despite lacking natural weapons. They are dangerous because they lack them." "Precisely," Cellcracks agreed. "They never evolved to rely on specific adaptations. They evolved to adapt itself." Later, with the crisis resolved and the saboteurs apprehended by human security forces who adapted maintenance tools into stunning weapons, the Council reconvened in an auxiliary chamber. Supreme Arbiter Zolak called for a vote. The result was unanimous. Humanity is hereby reclassified as Category 1, Apex Predator Species. Furthermore, we establish a new subcategory, Universal Adapters, species whose primary evolutionary advantage is situational problem-solving, rather than specialized biological weaponry. Director Chen accepted the classification with a polite nod. "We appreciate the Council's recognition." As the delegates dispersed, Cellcracks approached Chen one final time. "There's something I still don't understand," he admitted. "If all humans possess these capabilities, why haven't you expanded more aggressively? Why aren't you conquering?" Chen smiled, that same smile that had initially triggered his predator recognition instincts. "Because the most dangerous predator is the one that doesn't need to hunt. We learned long ago that cooperation yields better results than domination." She paused, her expression growing serious. "But make no mistake, Ambassador, should the galaxy ever truly threaten us, every human civilian would become a soldier, every household item a weapon, every setback a learning opportunity. We're not peaceful because we're weak. We're peaceful because we know exactly what we're capable of." As his ship departed Earth's orbital station, Cellcracks added a final note to his report. "The galaxy has misunderstood humanity's place in the cosmic order. They are not simply another intelligent species with interesting technology. They are what happens when evolution produces a species that refuses to accept limitations. Their true strength isn't that they're all born predators. It's that they're born believing they can become anything the situation requires. The Volari High Council would need to reconsider their approach to Earth. The humans weren't potential subjects or rivals. They were the species that had made adaptation itself their evolutionary superpower, and every one of their civilians carried that legacy in their blood.